Daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play. Option Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Dan just disappeared. Literally during the show intro, you saw it. If you came from the beginning, you saw it. I promise he was here. You scared me.
Oh, how you doing?
Good morning.
Yeah, I was somehow technically knocked me out.
There's nothing more terrifying than like an intro show going and then you turn it off and it's just you and you're like, wait, what? What happened? Dan, how we doing this morning?
We're doing good. Good to get into February a little bit, and nice to a lot of things going on in the market, which is kind of exciting, right? You got.
I woke up at 2:30 to check some positions I had on, and I was telling Dan, rare thing, I couldn't go back to sleep. Could not do it.
Yeah.
It tried to, just couldn't do it. So about 3:30, I abandoned ship, started going driving, listened to military podcasts.
Oh, nice.
Driving around Knoxville, the streets of Knoxville, 4 a.m. Went to the sauna at 5.
Nice. Now, could you have gone to what's the breakfast? What's open at that point?
Waffle House is the only thing.
So you could go there if you wanted to hang out a little bit.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. I wasn't feeling any food at that point. So
yeah, that's true.
But Dan, wisely, this is why you want mentors in your life. Dan was like, oh yeah, that happens all the time. You need to do this. Get you a little box, basically like a play box, so you don't bother anybody in the night. Things to do. And I was like, that's
what you get old as you get older, getting up 2-3 times in the middle of the night, as Tom Jones would say, it's not unusual, right? And It's just you. Now the thing is, you could see it can be disruptive in a house, though. When you get up, especially if you're not prepared. If you're not prepared to leave the room, and you're fumbling around and trying to find everything, then it's chaos. But
it is.
it's for Troy, it's a disturbing situation. As you get older, it's like, you just get a little taste of how it is being over 60,
Well, I know. And this is the first 2 hours. I mean, I'm driving around, went to the sauna. I'm like, hey, we got this. This is fine. About 6:30 hits. You're like, oh, this was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
And then you rally a little bit, drink some more coffee.
You rally. Yeah.
Huddle House. We used to have a Huddle House. I think the closest Huddle House is in Townsend, Tennessee, the peaceful side of the Smokies, they call it.
Yeah.
Do they have Huddle Houses in Scotland? I don't know.
Wait, can you please quickly describe what is a Huddle House? I've never.
It's a fake Waffle House.
Wow.
That was. I mean, listen, if there's anybody who wants to defend Huddle House, this is your chance in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and call it a fake Waffle House.
Yeah.
Literally looks like a Waffle House, shaped like a Waffle House, just named Huddle House.
Wow. So, is it better or worse food or same food or?
I just haven't had it much in life. I mean, I think I ate there like twice. And one of the times was because Waffle House the electricity was off at Waffle House. So we went to Huddle House, but it's fine. I mean, breakfast food, but.
I agree. You know what? Do you think there's a market out there for catering to men over 60? I think people could get a good business for something between 3 o'clock in the morning and 7 in the morning. I'll tell you, at the Panera, I've told you this before, at Panera Bread. So Panera Bread in Knoxville they used to open at 7. They're open at 6. right? And at 6 o'clock, right, there's like 8 chairs with a little bit of padding on them, which is great for older men. But if you go in there at 6 o'clock in the morning, game time, 6 o'clock, there's at least 10 people going for those 8 chairs. And there is nobody under 60 going for those chairs. But it's logical, and they're ready to go. They're showered. They've read once in a while. They read the newspaper, they're ready to go with conspiracy theories and everything. And you say, why are you up at 6? They go, I'm at bed at 8:30. What am I supposed to do? Right. So I think there's a market there, Troy. What do you think for that 3 to 6 in the morning? I think you could get a bunch of older men. You don't see as many women. I agree. For whatever reason, in that 3 to 6 period, they're able to stay rested, right? They don't have the same problems we do.
It's a weird there is some weird like gender stuff and that I enjoy. I enjoy thinking about that.
How's the sauna? Is that the YMCA?
Yeah, the sauna
Why
is
is it
great.
open 24? I didn't know it was 24.
No. It opens at 5. And
that's still impressive.
Yeah, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And went in there. We pushed it a little bit this morning. I was the first one in there, and we got the heart rate up to like 198
in the sauna.
Yeah.
How do you do it? I mean, do you have to
wait?
Do exercise in the sauna or
just
no?
Wait. It'll take care of itself.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like you go in there in about 15, 20 minutes, your heart rate, basically what it's doing is it's giving your heart exercise, even though you're not doing the whatever. People smarter than me. There's not the cardio. It's doing a cardiovascular workout, but without the part that's the lungs. So you're not breathing heavy, you're not sprinting, but your heart is equivalently sprinting.
Troy, you're teasing me. Exercise without exercise.
Just Dan, this is what I'm saying. This is what I've been trying to say. Like,
wow,
it's literally as our friend Seth, whom you know very well.
Oh yeah,
very very strong man, very exercise conscious.
Yeah,
he says it's a way basically to fake exercise.
And I think there's a huge market out there for that. Wouldn't you say?
100%. I mean, so I'm all in on it. Pushed it a little bit though. I'll tell you this. I mean, this is revealing. Perhaps this is for posterity. People making notes. You can push yourself in it to where like when you get out, it like you have to sit down for a second. Like it wears you out. And
when you say like in European countries, saunas can take on a mystical experience. I mean, in many European countries, sauna is to me, sauna is like you growing up, going to the YMCA all the time, learning many of life's lessons at the YMCA. Sauna was just kind of, if I recollect, who went in saunas? Kids in to me, one of the cruelest high school sports known to man was wrestling. Because wrestling is like, you're barely $1.25.
Yep.
As a junior, and you can barely stay at 125. And the coach is like, some crazy coach say, I need you down to 121. And so before the meet, right, you go in there and you basically sleep in the sauna, lose those 4 pounds.
There was 3 dudes in there Monday night. I went Monday night, and 3 high school guys, clearly high school guys, same shoes, same sweatpants, clearly a uniform, local high school.
Were they wearing the sweatpants in the sauna?
Yeah, full sweatsuit.
No, you're serious.
Yeah, dead serious. And that's a funny age when you get into it. I wrestled for.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I wrestled. Oh, not a long time. My career was short-lived, but I wrestled in high school for a year and semester. And it is a weird thing going from 8th grade to 9th grade, where your whole life you're a beautiful snowflake. You can have any body that you want. Like you don't have to like feel bad about your body. And then you go and wrestle, and they're like, yeah, cool. You've got 7 hours to lose 12 pounds. And you're like, oh, okay.
I mean, you talk about abuse. I mean, those coaches should be, but these kids, and I mean, I've never seen any, that to me might be the most difficult high school sport.
Yeah,
at least in the US.
it's incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Wrestling it's the craziest cardio workout you've ever had in your. I mean, it's insane.
Oh, yeah.
And boxing's not too. I mean, if you don't know if you've ever, I used to like fun box. We had boxing gloves and
Mm.
the gear and all that stuff. And me and my high school friends, and I mean, it'll just wear you out. So, speaking of wear you out, Dan, market going down 100 after it went up 100, day before, that'll wear you out a little bit.
Yeah, and
How you managing that? How you managing putting on range bound trades in this market, Dan?
well, I think and you bring up a great point, but this has kind of been going, wouldn't you say, for the last 3-4 months, especially let's just even take the last month.
Yeah.
We've had this 6,800, you could say 6,850, but 6,800, 7,000 in the SPX, which is less than the expected move for a month, right? So you're in a range, all right? So you get good for range bound. But the other piece of the puzzle is you're getting quite a bit of 60, 70, especially around news days, 80-point ranges. So how does January, to me, from range bound was one of the best months of the last 2 years, right? From range bound. But did it have some circumstances? Yeah, I think timing had to do a little bit of it. You have this range, right? And maybe lower end of the range, you might do more put credit spreads or, just playing it. But, how many days in the last month, Troy, we open up, right? And so maybe you do a type of butterfly, maybe a little bit short delta or a calendar under the market, we can come back down. So even in an up market, you're having this kind of range and stuff. So I think as long as you're seeing it for that, right? Because net, we haven't gone anywhere. But the nice thing is you've had a little bit of premium, right? So I think it's more picking your spots, understanding it. And we're still in that range, right? Yesterday, we threatened to go a little bit below the range. I think it got below if I'm correct, like the 50-day SMA and SPX, and it came back. But you say, well, was there anything yesterday when we were down a lot that kind of cried out, boring? I mean, VIX was up points. Correct me if I'm wrong, Troy. You're the volatility general. When we were down 80, no, was yesterday the day VIX was up 3? Okay, so yesterday, see, they roll into one another for me, the days. It was up. Okay, so it did get a little, what I'm saying, yeah. Okay, yesterday, okay, thanks. See, when you get over 60, one day runs into all of them.
Well, to the point, I've been up since 2:30, so I didn't even miss it. I was like, yep, sure,
you didn't even,
whatever day. Yeah.
But it was up by 30 or up by 3. I don't think we got in the 19s, right, for VIX?
We got into 20 yesterday.
All right, we got to 20. So a little bit of unnerving, right? A little bit of unnerving. But would it be fair to say, what was the low yesterday? We're still in that range, right? We still did not. And what did you have like in market profile? Did that kind of tell you some things yesterday when we were down in that level? What was that telling you? Was that a value area, as you would say, Troy, if you want to bring up your market profile, or do you feel?
Yeah. So yesterday, I mean, this is yesterday's range. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this overnight low right here.
Coming into yesterday, you mean?
Yeah, that overnight, or sorry, the low of Monday.
Okay.
Right there. Okay. So we go up here, right? And then tomorrow, each of these letters is a 30-minute period, starting with A is at 9:30 to 10, 10 to 10:30, 10:30 to 11, 11:30 to 12. So you notice that like the first, right about 11:30, we're just kind of hanging right here, right? Like, and if you look at that, it's hard to see it now because the way the day extended, but we were right here, and we're just kind of sitting there. So I took a shot on some debit spreads, and it paid off because when basically the play was, if we get a below Monday's open, we're either going to shoot back up really fast or we're going to blow through it. It's a reflexive point. I don't expect to sit right there. And it worked in the sense that it blew to the downside. But but what's interesting about that is, I mean, you see where we ended yesterday. We ended below Monday's range. And then the overnight action, which is here, these lowercase letters, we're just hovering at Monday's low. That's kind of where we're at. We're just hovering at Monday's low. And so what do you do with that? Well, if you're bearish, you want to see extension for a good part of the day below on the futures 69.43. If you're bullish, you want to see extension back into yesterday's, upper distribution and Monday's upper distribution. You want to get acceptance back into there. And so, I think it's going to be a little bit of battle today. And then obviously, because the market doesn't care what I think, it literally could just consolidate right here and wait for Iran news.
But didn't we close like 40 points off of the low?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the low yesterday was 68.85 and we closed 69.21. So, yeah, I mean, it was a good 40-point rally.
Now, what is that? Let me just, using the market profile. Okay, so take us near the lows yesterday, 68.65. At that point, from a market profile, what are you thinking? Is there much volume at that point, or what makes you think that from a market profile point of view at the lows, what would have made you think, watch out below? Or what were you thinking? What did
the watch out below part was the fact that I've split this. So let me unsplit this. Okay. So basically that can show you kind of the consolidation. Well, basically we spent 2 hours yesterday at 69.55. Okay. We had gone down. I mean, we started way up here. We had gone down and we just kind of set at this kind of point. This was the open of Monday.
For 2 hours we sat there, you're saying?
Yeah. And so my guess was, again, that we were either going to hard bounce back off this into this range or we were going to glide past it down to the next kind of point.
So let me ask you.
Sure.
I think what you did was more gutsy because most of the time you say, well, it comes back, right? Yesterday, it went further down. What made you lean, like you said, hey, it looked like at that point we could go either way. What was the trigger that made you pick the downside and a put debit spread?
That's a great question. It could be internal bearishness, a bias towards bearishness. It's hard to trust yourself. But my thought was basically just like, okay, look, Monday, we spent very little time here. We basically, if you look at this profile, we just went straight up and then consolidated around 7,005 in ES. Okay. Well, the next day, we literally do the exact opposite. We hardly spend any time there, and we start consolidating down to the downside. So the way I look at it, that is basically this thing, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I do like market profile on days like this. Like, that's a really reflective point. And what that means is, like, in auction theory, well, yesterday's low probably, we look at this and it's like, well, people probably bought a lot. Well, obviously they did, and they won. But there was probably a lot of people selling a lot too. So if you get down there, people are going to do one of two things. They're either going to close their shorts, right? Or new sellers are going to join them. And now Monday's shorts are combining with today's shorts or yesterday's shorts. And that's a powerful move. And that was kind of the catalyst. And so to me, my thought was, I'm going to take a shot. And what I did is I basically, the 68.63, that was the overnight low Sunday night. I just bought some put spreads right there, and it worked. It paid off real fast.
And you sold them when we went down.
Yeah, that initial kind of flush down, I got out. I didn't wait. I bought them for 35 cents and, sold them for $2.35. So
how wide fine. Were they debit spreads?
Yeah.
How wide? Like 50, 60?
60 wide.
60 wide. Now, would you say
Yeah.
for people at home, for people that might be listening and say, I'm not maybe as up on, you know, as good on maybe the market profile to see the downside. At that point, could they have done like a long gamma? I'm thinking of a couple ideas, some type of Rick, or even if you want to pick a side, could you do a ratio Rick? Let's say, okay, my feel is for the downside. I'll do some type of reverse iron condor. Maybe if I have more lean towards the downside, 2 puts, 1 call. More lean towards the upside, 2 calls, 1 put. And do similar, right, Troy, to what you did is, let's say I bought 2 puts versus 1 call. I might have been up, if we went down another 40 points, I could have sold out the put side. I mean, I guess I'm looking at a long gamma way for somebody who, like myself and many others, are horrible at watching direction, right?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah, as am
I was walking yesterday. I told Troy I was listening to Troy and Steve do what time is that show on Tuesdays?
noon on Tuesdays.
And I watched that, and Steve is a very smart guy and a good trader. And in a sense, he gives me hope for someone who is horrible with technical or day trading, because he talks to me without the Fibonacci's. Nothing wrong with the Fibonacci, Fibonacci, all that stuff. Nothing wrong with that. But he just, wouldn't you agree, Troy? He keeps it relatively simple. He's making decisions. Okay, this is related to yesterday's high or low. And this is, kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, he'll do a little bit of momentum, right?
Yeah.
He'll have, 15 vehicles, and he's looking, okay, this one goes up, I'll go with it a little bit. If it goes against him, he'll get out. But to me, it's a matter of, I still, as easy as it is, I'm not focused enough to learn. For me, I couldn't do it. I mean, he's good at that. But to me, maybe for other people, if they fit in that category, okay, could you do a long gamma trade, right? Could you do a Rick or a ratio back spread if you have portfolio margin, but you could lean one way, right? So that, like, if Troy, okay, let's say Troy was wrong, right? And we went up. If you would have lost, right? I mean, but sometimes, Troy, you do both sides, don't you? I mean, sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, I look at it today, and again, this is a personal thing, and for every bullish person, there's a bearish person, and bearish person, a bullish person, neutral person, whatever. But I look at the range, and I think that was a sneeze. You weren't on video, so I have to publicly confirm that was a sneeze, right?
It was a sneak, but sometimes as you get older, it can sound like a wild animal. I mean, it depends. And I apologize. I should have.
No, you're fine. I just
for those of you who had to hear those sounds, I thought maybe you should call the emergency room. I should have hit the mute. But that's another thing, Troy. Wouldn't you say?
I look forward to it.
When you get older, you lose your sense of. I noticed this at Panera. You lose your sense of. You're not as. I mean, sometimes people will be telling stories. But there's other people coming in to buy their coffee and sweet rolls or whatever. And I'm like, tone it down a little bit. But there's when you get that, it just, you lose your sense of, what would it say? Just sanity or.
I just wanted to make sure, like, I wanted the chat to know ahead of time. I wanted to front run this. I think that was a sneeze. So
Troy, I appreciate it. And yeah, some sounds are tough to identify.
I get that. I understand that. Yeah, totally. To your point, this was yesterday's range. Yeah. And so this is the way I look at it. And these lowercase, like I said, are the overnight range. So where are we right now? Well, we're literally in the middle of the range, yesterday's range. So, you think about it from an options perspective. Do you buy a Rick? That again, if your system is automating it, why are you even asking? Just let it play.
If it's automated, that's different. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're discretionarily doing it, do you want to put a Rick on where yesterday's range was, 100 points, 120 points, maybe, and you're right in the middle, maybe you do. The way I kind of would approach something like this from a discretionary standpoint would be, I want to see, basically, to go back to Monday's stuff, I want to see us resolve this. If we're going to be below Monday's range, then take a shot at yesterday's low.
Yeah.
Are you
looking at the futures or SPX?
This is futures. This
Yeah,
is ES.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So you have to adjust in your mind, or use ES. But if you are going to get acceptance back in, if it starts to look like you're going to get acceptance back into yesterday's range or Monday's range, then maybe you take a shot at the high yesterday. But that's what's the edge of market profile? It's to be able to gather information logically and look at it and make informed decisions on that. That's the edge. It's nothing but structuring data to be able to see it in a way that perhaps you're not used to. And the way, to me, of looking at this is like, yep, we're in the middle of yesterday's range. I want to see it play out. This is what it would look like to play out if it works back into this range. If we really start dipping below, my immediate target would be, my immediate target would actually be yesterday's kind of point of control, meaning where we spent the most time. And we spent the most time yesterday at 69.10.
Yeah.
So,
and Troy, I think that, like even these type of spec, where it be reverse iron condor or other long gamma trades, where you say, what's a long gamma trade like a Rick? They're basically trades designed that you don't need to know which way it's going, right? And you say, Dan, that's refreshing. So you're saying if it just goes one way or the other, that could be a positive experience. Yes, you need it to move. So there, the challenge is picking days or picking 2 or 3 day periods where either the market is moving, right, or there's some range, or there's some catalysts on the board. Google tonight, Amazon tomorrow, jobs on Friday, that, maybe placing something Friday. But I do think this is, with automation and hanging with you guys, I still believe, I've said this a year ago, I still need some counsel from Matt and Troy and others, but I would like to be a complete 100% almost automation, because I think it's just better. And like with the reverse iron condors, Matt's already, you can have reverse iron condors that have, really good performance over a 2-year period. Now you probably have to lean them a little bit long delta, right? And you tweak them, but they work. But I still think, we're talking, I always say the wrong word. It's not arbitrary. It's what?
Discretionary.
Discretionary. I don't know why that
I love it. I love it.
So discretionary, you think, well, okay. So discretionary, we have catalysts on the board today. Last week, see, which brings in big earnings. Well, you can back test that, right? The back test knows you can you can back test the last 3 years of FOMC meetings, which happen to be big earnings weeks. You can back test the week after, certainly, when the earnings are the big weeks, and test the RICs. I think the only thing I would do differently, like I think, Matt's proven on those RICs, they can work with no touching them. But I do think I'd like to test more. I still like with this positive gamma, as we, like in the environment we have now, it's basically unchanged, but you're getting a lot of movement. So to me, that's an ideal time generally for gamma scalping. You say, what the heck is gamma scalping? It's because you get long delta on the way up. You're starting neutral relatively. You get long delta on the way up, short on the way down. I think Matt, wasn't he saying, Troy, you could put groupings in the back test. So if you enter like a RIC, you enter the spread separately, you can have it where if they go up a certain amount, either way, you can close one side of it, right? So you can do that in back testing. I would encourage people, I would rather, even discretionary, I'd rather go with the data, right? Because again, I'm amazed. Been in trading for a long time, but I'm amazed, Troy. Every month we'll come to the FOMC, right? Every month. And this is just, the old expression, if someone asks you, what'd you have for breakfast yesterday? I don't remember. Well, when you get to the FOMC next month, I'll say to students, hey, anybody remember what happened last time? Let me think about it, right? Well, that's the great thing with backtesting. Just run the data and see what happens because, and you think something like that, we would try to, before backtesting, write it down. Isn't that important? History, right? What the heck happened? But it's like, instead of recreating it anytime. Anyways, excuse the rambling, but yeah, it again, today looks like the VIX is going to open up relatively unchanged at a decent number 18. But again, we're 18 and we're kind of range bound. Now, again, yesterday was on the precipice a little bit, but I think the thing, Troy, is people get spooked on the downside. Like yesterday, we said it, I remember talking in the morning to somebody saying, so far, VIX is up 0.7. We cannot have any kind of meaningful down move if the VIX is up 0.7. I think it was in the 17s. Then all of a sudden, a couple hours later, the temperature has changed.
Yep.
And even though we look at it and say, since April, we've been up a gobful, right? We've been up a ton, but we still say, oh, we went down too fast. Oh, I'm scared. And you read like CNBC, people are getting out the AI trade and just, selling the houses, selling the goats, come on. It just, is it okay that SPX, a $7,000 vehicle, are we allowed to go down a couple hundred points? Right. But I think the speed of it really, I get tickled by that all the time. And it's like, what happened in April? We're down 17%. Some of that is normal, but again, the speed of the downside is an amazing.
It is. And I think about last year, I don't remember what day it was, but we had rallied something like 3%. It was a news day, the morning news. And then we basically lost it all. And the VIX went from like 18 to 28, I think. Wow. I don't remember what day this was.
Wow.
And then we were fine. Then we were fine. I mean, that's the fun thing about the market. It's like sometimes just the noise is just noise, and it can be really, really, really noisy, but it's just noise.
And when Troy, sometimes that's where I think like Troy, people focus on market profile and the numbers. And I think a lot of times that's healthy because what it's like is turning off. I get it. There's geopolitical. I get it. There's earnings. But let's pretend for a second, there's no geopolitical. There's no earnings. There's no news. If the market's up 2 or 3 years, 18%, and we're up again, you're not drinking the Kool-Aid, right? You're being cautious whether they tell you to or not, right? You're looking at, markets go up and they go down. And I think that, sometimes we miss that, right? We need some rainy weather, and the market's going to have some fluctuation, even when we're going up, right? But I think people get used to that. I want to sell puts every day. It's a right as a citizen. I should sell my puts and they expire worthless for 4,200 months, and 2 months go against me, and it's like, I'm writing my congressman. That is just unfair to me. It's like an annuity. Short puts were never designed to be an annuity, right?
Yeah. Well, and they're saying this is the thing with anything. Like everyone trades differently, and everyone's discipline. Everyone trades differently, but every successful trader has discipline, and that's the way I look at it. Is whether you're doing a Rick or selling or whatever, Dan will do 40 different strategies, but he's got the discipline, and that's part of it. So,
well, you just have to keep your. I mean, really, I think people overdo risk management. To me, risk management is when you're putting, any trade works, right? Over time, if you'll get better at it, right? If you keep your capital small and go. But risk management is saying just whatever strategy you do, short puts, calendar, and some, single or double, iron condor. it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say if I stick 20 of these suckers on over the next 4 or 5 months, right? You're probably going to have a high win rate on double calendars, relatively, depending on how you set it up, or calendars. But and I think win rate also goes in how long you keep it to duration, right? I mean, I think there's a lot to it, but the point is, it just comes down to, can you keep your losers somewhere reasonable compared to your winners, right? Would you agree? I mean, even in back tests, isn't that the same thing? You have your back test, you have a win percentage, you have a drawdown, right?
Yep.
And you have what's the number what's the number that takes into account the drawdown the most? Is that the MAR or the CAGR?
MAR is kind of CAGR divided by your drawdown. So MAR is a metric to say basically like how much did you win compared to your drawdown.
Okay, so MAR would be the one that would say keep the losers in line with the winners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So MAR, would you say, if you had to, they're all different, right? Would you say, if someone asked you, and again, this is a loaded question, but would you say the MAR is the most important of all the metrics?
I've learned to not say those things. We were just talking about this yesterday. There's people who have really, really strong opinions about this. And we're going to definitely we're working on putting more metrics in ourselves so you can see kind of your favorite thing. But I've literally heard two different hedge fund managers argue passionately about different metrics as being the key. I mean, so there really is a certain taste to it. In my mind,
it's all I mean, I tell people, I said, look, if you're doing something that has decent edge, right? And back tests confirm, right? Back tests are saying if it has decent edge, don't do it once in a while, right? Do it on a regular basis. When you agree with the back testing, you're doing it on a regular basis, and you've been stellar with that with the small account trade. But then the second thing is, what do you do with losers, right? And you keep the losers near the winners. And I think what you did in the small account was wonderful. You said, but you had a tolerance, right? What was it with the put credit spreads? If you have, if you have too many losers, you do make an adjustment, right? And I think there's some, I guess what I'm saying is, with all the metrics and whatever, there's a simple philosophy behind it, right? Decent, good back tests, good trading, good resulted strategies won't work if you keep the loser, if somehow you don't keep the losers under control. So it requires a decent risk management plan. And I think that's where I see students over the last 20 years. If you said, what's the biggest problem I've seen in 20 years or more of teaching? Number one, two simple things. Number one, they're not trading it regularly, right? They're sensitive. I lost 2 times in a row. My feelings are hurt. My self-esteem is hurt. I am going to go in the alley. Do they have alleys? Alleys. You know what alleys are. Alleys. And I'm going to comfort myself. But the second thing is, how many people have you talked to? I used to trade calendars. I don't like them anymore. Why? Oh, did I have a loser? Okay. Do you think the world of calendars ended when you had your big loser? Why did, here's the last thing. I don't mean to go off on a long rant, but over the years, I've asked people this, that have had big losers and stopped trading a strategy, or some people stopped trading altogether. And I said, just be honest with me for a second. Tell me, when you had that big kahuna trade go against you and your life changed, right? And you lost $1 billion. Was there, now again, they didn't have the back testing to automatically get it out for them. But I said, could you have adjusted? Could you have closed the trade? After a hesitation, Dan, I could have. I could have closed the trade. Why didn't you? And then you have a slew of reasons. And that's why I think the automation is it's a life changer for many people, because it will do what most retail traders struggle with, getting out at the appropriate time, and it'll get you out, right? I mean, will there ever be hiccups like the big hiccup that came with the short puts, right? Wasn't that a couple months ago?
The stop again as they
Yeah,
call
but
it.
the stop again to me is very, very controllable. You
Yeah, I
can.
mean, listen, there was a thing yesterday in the Discord, or this morning, because I was up at 3:30 checking Discord.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So you and the Europeans at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, I know. I almost did a cigar lounge just to say hey, but
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't speak. I just speak English, so I don't know how useful that would have been. But there's a meme going around in the Discord where it's like it's a Bruce Lee thing where it's like, don't be afraid of the person that's tried, 10,000 kicks once. Be afraid of the person that's done one kick 10,000 times. And then Wheezy came in and said, don't be afraid of the person who does 10,000 types of trades once. Be afraid of the person who's done one trade 10,000 times. And listen, that's Dan Sheridan written all over it. That's Dan Sheridan.
But you know what? That's how we learned in the pitch. It is repetition. I mean, but the challenge for newer people is, to me, the challenge for any educator, can you get a person from day 1 to day 7 without cutting himself too much? Right? That's it. It's not that they're successful. I remember that. We got to go here. One thing I'll say, at the 11 o'clock when we're doing the beginners, I'll be speaking on the wheel, cash secured puts at 11. But I'll also, because we were going till I got long-winded, and I apologize, we're going to talk about Google earnings tonight. I will throw that in at the during the beginner class. We'll have some ideas, and Google has earnings tonight after the close. So I'll throw that in with kind of, talk about earnings in Google, and maybe a little bit of what would I recommend a beginner skinning the cat for Google earnings. So
I love it. So 11 o'clock, you're going to get a 2-for-1. You're going to get the wheel, and you're going to get some thoughts on Google earnings tonight. Dan and Matt will be doing the show tomorrow. I'll be traveling because Friday we got a very special guest that will be on the OO show, hopefully.
Neat.
Live on location. So we'll find out more about that later. But anyway, happy trading. We'll be back at 11. Bless you. And may the